I start by way of raising the question of the origin of the universe. Scientists, upon observing the vast universe and wondering about its origin, have drawn different conclusions looking at the same empirical data. Same data. The great astronomer Carl Sagan, in the latter half of the 20th century, once said, quote, "The cosmos is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be," end of quote. The cosmos is all that is, or ever was, or ever will be. An agnostic to his last breath, Sagan believed in an eternal universe rather than an eternal God. But Francis Collins, the world-renowned geneticist, noting the fine-tuning of the universe for intelligent life, believes that this points to a creator God. Why the difference between the two world-leading scientists? Is it a matter of intelligence? Again, two very intelligent people looking at the same data and yet with very different conclusions. Why? To some, this is a matter of intelligence. To Richard Dawkins, British evolutionary biologist, the face of New Atheism and author of bestseller The God Delusion in 2006, to him, those who believe in God are unintelligent and gullible. Thus, he says regarding evolution, quote, "The evidence for evolution is so absolutely and totally overwhelming that nobody who looks at it could possibly doubt that if they are sane and not stupid," end of a quote. Another new atheist, philosopher Daniel Dennett, entitled his 2006 book, Breaking the Spell, Religion as a Natural Phenomenon. As the book's title suggests, to Bennett, people who believe in God have been duped by religious traditions of myth and fables. Both scholars espouse the view that enlightened and educated people wouldn't believe in the existence of God because of their scientific orientation. John Lennox, a leading mathematician who taught at the University of Oxford for a long time, now retired, also a firm believer, offers a different view. He says, quote, "What does it mean that two distinguished scientists are saying exactly opposite things? That's telling me that the conflict is not between science and belief in God. Otherwise, you would expect all scientists to be atheists, but it's a worldview conflict. It's between scientists with two different worldviews. What is presented to the public is science comes first, then the worldview. But it may actually be the other way around. The worldview comes first and is influencing the interpretation of science," end of a quote. This is why humans made in the image of God, rational creatures who, upon encountering evidence, are able to draw a reasonable and corresponding conclusion. For instance, upon observing both the beauty and orderliness of the universe, people everywhere and throughout time have simply assumed the existence of a supernatural entity who created it. Psalm 19:1, quote, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hand," end of a quote. Romans 1, verse 20, Paul says, quote, "For since the creation of the world, God's indivisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse," end of a quote. This is to say, God's existence is self-evident. Modern anthropology bears this out. In fact, atheism as a collective belief is really a modern phenomenon. Historian Stephen Neal notes that, quote, "Almost all the races of man, the most primitive among them included, have some knowledge of and belief in one supreme God," end of a quote.